I think Hillary will go down as one of the finest Secretary of States we've had.
People would look at the election of a President Clinton and say, I know that I'm going to get someone who understands our part of the world and will help us shape the best future.
She is the one person who can bring a tremendous amount of experience to the job of being a world leader.
Hillary Clinton releasing a new campaign ad touting her experience as Secretary of State. So this happens just 2 days before her appearance before the Benghazi Committee on Thursday. Hillary Clinton called that a partisan hunt on CNN.
I think it's pretty clear that whatever they might have thought they were doing, they ended up becoming a partisan arm of the Republican National Committee with an overwhelming focus on trying to, as they admitted, drive down my poll numbers.
Republicans still playing defense, as she just alluded to, after Congressman Kevin McCarthy's flub on Hannity.
I have told my own Republican colleagues and friends, shut up talking about things that you don't know anything about. And unless you're on the committee, you have no idea what we've done, why we've done it, and what new facts we have found.
Republican strategist Sherry Jacobus is here, political analyst Ebony Williams. So, Sherry, starting with you, what do you expect on Thursday?
I think that Hillary and her allies will try and make it seem like it is a partisan witch hunt. Unfortunately, we had a high-ranking Republican say that, but just because someone's poll numbers go down in a scandal like this doesn't mean that it's a partisan investigation. And I think that while Hillary Clinton certainly has hardcore supporters, you have those on the right and the left who will believe her no matter what, or those who don't believe her but want her to survive it, they know she's lying, they're not going to change their minds. But there's that all-important middle, the ones that make the difference in elections and change our country, who maybe would have supported her but find it very crass that she is the one politicizing this, when we know that we have 4 dead Americans under her watch as Secretary of State, and for her to be touting some accomplishments as Secretary of State, she doesn't have any. This is a woman who's had decades in the public eye to achieve something, and all she's done is resume building. So I think people will look at it as a little bit crass, and it's uncomfortable, frankly.
So, Ebony, picking up on that point, is the timing of this ad the right one as a strategist?
No, strategically, it's actually too late. Hillary Clinton should have gotten in front of this long ago, and I think that's where many in the middle, to Sherry's point, it's been frustrating for people that are not necessarily the far right, who have a purely partisan interest in bringing down her poll numbers, who simply want answers, and deservingly so, around why 4 Americans lost their life that night. Certainly that buck stops with her. She's not going to be able to escape accountability simply making this partisan. But to be clear, McCarthy did more than flub, right? I mean, he flat out said the very thing. It's one thing to suspect. He flat out said it. We have a saying in the law, you can't unring the bell. But here's how they reframe that from the GOP side. They say, look, they're not mutually exclusive issues. Hillary needs to answer for this. Her poll numbers are going down, sure, but they're not causal. That's inevitable because of the lack of answers coming from the investigation.
Okay, hold those thoughts. Former Press Secretary Jay Carney for President Obama now works for Amazon as a spokesperson. A few weeks ago, the New York Times published a harsh article on Amazon's working conditions, saying they had deplorable working conditions. Jay Carney now firing back. This is from that piece. Had the reporters checked their facts, the story they published would have been a lot less sensational, a lot more balanced, and let's face it, a lot more boring. New York Times executive editor responding, saying, quote, as I said in the beginning, the story was based on dozens of interviews. Any reading of the responses leaves no doubt it was an accurate portrait. Our political panel is back to weigh in. Republican strategist Sherry Jacobus and political analyst and Fox News contributor Ebony Williams. Sherry, why this response now?
First, can I say irony, sweet irony, that Jay Carney, the guy they had to stand up there and defend Obama against all his attacks on big business and small business and anybody, involved in capitalism. And then he was also a journalist, part of the left-wing media empires, and it's just kind of interesting to see him on this side of things, where he now has to go to, I guess, former colleagues and tell them what they did wrong. So excuse me if I'm not gloating, but I just think the irony is really pretty interesting.
All right.
The shoe is on the other foot.
Full circle. Your point is
Exactly.
well taken. Ebony, what is the idea here, though? Because the person that was mentioned in the Times, and this is, you have to dig for this, but was actually fired for incompetence and other questionable behavior. But the Times is sticking by its story, saying it's about a portrait, it's not just one person.
Oh, Deidre, this is just Jay Carney looking really pretty bad here. Two things are wrong with the way he handled this. Number one, again, too late. This is 2 months after the Times piece ran and all the buzz was generated. Certainly, this should have come out far closer to when the initial article was published. Number two, Jay Carney's not being specific here. You know, it's a very measured response that you just read that he gave. You know, it would have been less of this, more of that. But he never really outright denied some of the facts that were asserted in the piece.
Well, he's just taking a shot at the Times, saying, listen, you're just trying to publish a sensational story.
Yeah, but again, for the general public who's necessarily not caught up in the measurement of that type of back and forth between big business and journalism, that doesn't resonate. People are still going to walk away with the perception that Amazon has a very critical culture and something that's not positive. So what the Times wrote is still standing for many people. So Carney was not really effective. If his goal was to dispel that misnomer, he wasn't really effective.
Well, yeah, I want to agree with that, because he did not go into specifics. If he really wanted to make a point, he could have gone in. They said they talked to multiple sources on this. It wasn't just one person's word against his. So if he wanted to be effective in this response and really earn his keep and live up to the professional reputation of a former professional journalist and a former White House press secretary, he needed to come up with specifics, and he simply did not.
As you said earlier, Ebony, I think you said you cannot unring the bell. Sherry and Ebony, thank you so much for your comments.